2023. Tell me all about your new resolutions, like I said, on the gram at all four to today. So many things are happening in the world. It's Dimple Chart Day, Free Flower Basket Day, National Spaghetti Day for people who live in America. All right, but here, all over the place in the world, it's Tom Day. Tom Day is World Braille Day for blind people, all right, and World Hypnotism Day, all right. Do you believe in hypnosis? Tell me all about that at all four today on the ground. This afternoon, I have someone in the studio to talk about, like I told you, harmful practices against human rights, and these harmful practices, as they found in our culture. I have Mr. Edekachi Naji, our engineer, Edekachi Naji, is from People United Against Social Segregation and Human Rights Abuses in Igbo land. Good afternoon. Welcome to Lunchbox, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, you may have to come close to the mic. Good afternoon. So, before we talk about these harmful practices, who are the People United Against Social Segregation and Human Rights Abuses? Who are you?
It's an organization
Mhm.
recently formed to fight against these evil practices, evil cultural practices
Mhm.
that they say they have been legislated against a long time ago, but people still practice these things.
Okay.
And they are essentially against other people's human rights. People are being segregated against based on their place of birth.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
So, it's like, is it like a non-governmental organization, like an NGO?
Yes, something like that.
Okay, not a pressure group. So, how long have you been in existence?
We have been in existence for quite some time. In fact, we have filed an application with the Corporate Affairs Commission.
Okay.
Will be formally registered soonest.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are your activities?
Um,
Activities of this organization? What have you done in the past? What are you into?
Essentially, we've been trying to enlighten the people and tell them the consequences of continuing with these evil practices
Okay.
that are against humanity. They are outdated. People are not supposed to be practicing such things in modern day society.
Okay.
So that's what we've been trying to do for some time. And we then decided to come to your station to further enlighten people, sensitize people about the consequences of these evil practices.
All right. So let's start from the beginning. What are these? Give us example of these evil practices. Meanwhile, if you're listening to us right now, I'm not sure we're going to open up a line because this is the first time this. I'd like to talk with engineer very well before we can open up. But just in case we decide to open up a line, just feel free to call then 0810 913 9902. That's 0810 913 9902. But I would most likely attend to your questions online more than on telephone. So send questions to Coast at Coast929 FM. That's on Twitter, and on Instagram at Coast City FM 929. That's at Coast City FM 929. You can also send personally at 04 to today on Instagram. So tell us about these harmful practices, example, and who is it against? What human rights? What article in human rights is it violating?
First of all, I would like you to excuse me to um, use a mixed language because I'll be speaking in English at the same time.
Feel free,
And
just go ahead.
sometimes I can make some of my expressions
Go
in
ahead.
Igbo, because this is essentially for an Igbo audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
If you speak Igbo, or you call it Igbo sometimes. So essentially, what we're trying to say is that these have been practices that have been on for centuries. But these days, from the time of Eastern Nigeria, these things have been legislated against. There have been laws passed by the regime of Skiwe and Oba and all the rest of them against the Osuke system, the Ohu, and all that case system. But you find out that even at that, in practice, these things are still on. Because, like for example, if you want to marry somebody in Igbo land, they will tell you, have you investigated the Jego Juase and all that kind of thing. And you find out that some people even get almost killed for going against this custom. But if you ask them, they will say, there's nothing like that.
So it's not a bad thing if someone wants to get married and they'll go and inquire. It's
Yeah,
not a bad thing.
no, naturally you ought to inquire, but
Mhm.
the inquiry should be on the kind of not based on cultural practices,
Okay.
but based on whether the family is a good family, their family background, whether it's a family that steals, or a family that has a mental problem, that kind of a thing. But these days, people even in some communities, you find out that you can't even buy from them. You say this person is also, he has something somewhere in the market, you can't go and buy it because that person is.
So what you're saying is that at this time there are people who still practice
Of
the
course,
Osu caste system.
yes, and Ohu, in Kano, and other places.
Osu, I know what's the difference?
The difference essentially is that Osu is like somebody dedicated to an idol.
Mm.
Some people run to an idol when they have one problem or the other to protect them. But the old system, which is mostly practiced in this Enugu state, that one is like somebody doing some kind of servitude, going to serve somebody for some time, maybe because the person is less privileged, doesn't have enough to take care of himself.
Okay.
Or sometimes people sell their children into slavery. Then when they get to that place, they'll be calling them old. But you find out that this is supposed, in reality, it's supposed to be when somebody serves you for a while, it's ought to set the person free. And then not only setting him free, you empower him to be his own master. And you find out that in this place, even the children and the grandchildren, great grandchildren will still continue, people will still continue to segregate against them, call them all kinds of names that are abominable and are not good to even hear. And it's a very serious problem. Ordinarily on the surface, if you ask people, they say, no, this has stopped a long time ago. But you find that in some communities in Igbo land, people have been fighting, even killing themselves because of this thing. They say you are not permitted to marry from the other side. The other people are inferior, this and this and that.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do we start to stop these things? Or rather, is there a law that says maybe if you're discriminated upon, then maybe something will happen to the person who discriminates? What is the stand of law?
The stand of the law is that if the person is officially caught, then he will be prosecuted and sentenced to some years of imprisonment or fine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, how do you catch the person? Even if somebody is practicing, when you bring him to the court, the person will deny and say, I never said such a thing, I never practiced such a thing. So it's difficult. It's something that has to do with people's conscience. It's not something that you can solve through legislation.
Okay.
So that's why we are appealing to the conscience of the people to realize that human beings, in the beginning, God said, let us create man in our own image, in our likeness. So man is essentially the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, you see that it is absolutely wrong for somebody to come up and say that his fellow man, who is an image of God, is inferior, is Ohu, and all that. Even as Christians, we're not supposed to say such things. And not only that it is wrong for us to do it, these things have implications. You know, like I'm an engineer by profession. And in physics, they say action and reaction are equal and opposite. So when you find out, when you practice such a thing, you're bound to get the repercussions. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you segregate against somebody, if you abuse somebody else's human rights, you're bound to be segregated against.
Okay.
So that's why you see a lot of people will complain that Igbos are hated, Igbos are disliked, people do this and that. But we do these things to ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
So
it is wrong.
So if someone is discriminated upon or against rather now because of maybe like you said they're either Osu or what should they do?
Like I've told you that there are legislations against these things, but it is very, very difficult.
But if someone came to your NGO now and said, "This is what happened to me," what would your NGO? How can you assist them?
We can assist them by what we are doing now, doing further more and more enlightenment for the people. First of all, for the people to realize that when you segregate against somebody, you are not only offending the person, you are offending God. And you know that the spiritual controls the physical, whether we like it or not. God is in charge of the affairs of men. So if we don't like people to hate us, people to segregate against us, people to deny us of our rights, there is no reason whatsoever why we should deny other people of their own rights. So it is wrong. That's what we're trying to say. Because this we have several stages that we intend to go through. This first stage of enlightenment, uh, sensitization, and all that. Then after that, we will go into other stages where we will involve the men of God to preach these things in churches, emphasize them so that people will have a rethink. People will change their minds and know that this segregation we are doing, it rebounds on us. It brings back segregation to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because the spiritual controls the physical. So if we don't like people saying our Igbos they don't deserve to have this, they don't deserve to have that, then we shouldn't say that somebody who is our or whose father or great grandfather was our father's or great grandfather's brother, and somewhere along the line the person went to the other side. And you now start saying that the person is inferior, he's so. You shouldn't mix with him, you shouldn't marry, and all that. The Bible is very that I think it's in Luke or Matthew, maybe Luke 16 to 12. It says, if you cannot give to your brother his rights, something that belongs to him, how do you expect God to give you your own rights? Or something that belongs to you. In other words, there's something you call law of karma, law of retribution, or retributive justice, or whatever you sow, you reap. So what I'm saying is, because the Igbo nation right now is at a crossroads where we are complaining very bitterly about how other tribes are marginalizing us. We want restructuring, we want self-determination, we want this and that. So it is now left for us to, first of all, go back to our God and say, God, these people are doing this thing to us. This is something we're supposed to handle more spiritually than physically. Because even in Igbo, and I've been ndị be anyị ha mụọ ọkụ n'anọ ndị be anyị na-asị na mmadụ chịwara mmadụ wude onye chi eburu ụzọ wude. That's in other words, if you are at peace with your God, even again at Chidi the Nama, nobody can do anything to you because your God will always be there to protect you. But when you are practicing things, doing things that are against the natural laws of justice, and God abhors these things, you cannot expect God to give you that protection. You can, like, if you plant orange, you expect to reap orange. If you plant banana, don't expect mangoes. So that's what my organization is.
Okay.
And, we are not saying that it is right for other people to discriminate against us. What we are saying is that let us reconcile with our God. If you want to go to equity, you must come with clean hands. Let us reconcile with our God and ask our God to defend us.
Okay. We've been talking with Engineer Edekachi Naji, who is a representative of People United Against Social Segregation and Human Rights Abuses in Igbo Land. So we have spoken about Osu and Osu, which is what is it called now in English? The outcast system. Then O, which is the slave. One would have said, like you mentioned, one would have said, they don't believe that this thing still exists. But you mentioned that it happens in Kano. Apart from
Not only in Kano,
what other places do you think these things happen in?
I tell you, the one that happens in Kano is even mild because what you have in Kano is open.
Okay.
which
That's the
is
slave, not the
yes,
outcast.
the outcast. That one is very predominant in Imo State and some other
Okay.
places.
Mhm.
Even some of these deities. There was a time something like that happened in Sota. They say some people were dedicated to a Furu deity or something like that. They are Usu and all this. And there was a military administration then. They went there and destroyed the deity, the shrine and everything, and freed people that were kind of
They were
imprisoned
under
in that place.
bondage.
Yes, under
Okay.
bondage there. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not openly people will tell you that it's not in existence, but it's there.
Okay.
When you will know it's in existence is if you want to go and marry across the divide.
That is when you
You will
will
see
know.
that some people are even prepared to kill you.
Because
It's
of
a very
time.
serious matter.
Because of time, like I said, we wouldn't open up the line today, but just feel free to ask questions or
Um,
contributions online. That's Call City 929 FM. But I wanted to ask you before you leave, what is the outcome of this um, uh, human rights abuses? How does it affect the people, or how does it affect individuals now?
Essentially, you find out, like I said, the spiritual controls the physical. And we are very Christian people, very spiritual people. We go to church, we believe in God, we believe in Christ. But you find out that in practice, we talk about these things in churches and we don't practice them. When you come to the real practice, you see that even some bishops, some GOs and other pastors and all these things promote these things and tell you that it's in the Bible. But it's not true. The Bible condemns it totally and completely. If you go to the Bible, you will see it where it is clearly written, if your brother subjects himself or herself to you as a slave, if he serves you for 6 years, in the seventh year, make sure you set him free. And when you set him free, don't allow him to go empty-handed. Empower him so that he will be his own master. Slavery is not supposed to be an eternal or forever something. It's supposed to be for a period. You find that the Igbos and the Jews will have a similar culture. Because if you think about the history of Jacob, you see that even Jacob went to serve his uncle Laban before he betrothed his daughter or two daughters. He served him for 6 years. The seventh year, he set him free. He gave him the wrong choice. Jacob protested and said, I served you, you're supposed to settle me. He said, no, this one is the senior one. If you want the junior one, then serve again. And he did that. That was why he gave him Rachel and Leah. Leah first and then Rachel. And you find out that if you investigate very well, you see that Igbo culture is very, very close to Jewish culture. In fact, some of the names that we bear are very similar to Jewish names. And if you go to the Bible, you will even see from the tribe of what's his name again? Not Gad, from the tribe of Gad. Igbos are said to have descended from the tribe of Gad. So if you go to that portion of the Bible in Genesis, you will see Levi, Arodi, and all that. Which if you come to Igbo land, you will see Aguleri, Arochukwu, and all this. We are supposed to have descended from there. And the woman that gave birth to that Gad was a slave to one of the other, either Rachel or Leah. The girl, the lady that was serving her. So out of jealousy, she gave the lady to the husband as a wife. So that's how it goes. And if you come down to Nigeria here, you see that we are supposed to be the aborigines or the indigenes of this country. The Igbos came to Nigeria over 4,000 years ago. The Yorubas came about maybe 2,000 years ago. The Fulanis, I think, 18 something, which is just barely 200 years ago. But all these people are lording over us because they are at peace with their own God. They obey their God. When their God says, do this, they do it. But our own God has told us, do not enslave your brother perpetually. We continue to do that. So that's why it looks like the Igbos are in a fix right now. We don't even know which way to go. How do we free ourselves from this, what do you call it, segregation against us in Nigeria? We are being discriminated against, we are being denied our rights and all this. So we are urging our fellow Igbo people, let us free our brothers and sisters. Let us go to our God. Let us come to equity. Clean hands. Let us not pretend like the ostrich that will bury its head in the sand and say, I'm safe. Whereas 90-something% of the body is out. That's what we do in Igbo land. You say, these things are no longer in practice. It doesn't. No, but when you want to marry, you will find out that it's there. You see, even some communities, they fight themselves, they kill themselves. These are people that are descended from common parents. But along the line, maybe the person went from the other side to the other side. And they start saying that person is so. It's wrong. You find out that even in the Bible, should I go ahead?
Yeah.
You find out even in the Bible, there's a place you see in the Bible where a prophet came and said to the king, what you people are practicing is against the laws of God. God said, do not enslave your brother perpetually. If your brother serves you for 6 years, in the 7th year, set him free. He said this to the king refused. Lo and behold, the prophet told him that because you have refused to free your brothers, God will bring another king to come and enslave you. And it happened. It's in the Bible. We're going to do further editions of this program, and when we do that, we'll expatiate.
That's right.
And people will come to understand that what we are doing is wrong. We are not doing it as we continue to practice these things, we are offending God. And that is why it is difficult for God to hear our prayers and come to our rescue. Because we're supposed to be dictating the affairs of this country. If you look at even independence in Nigeria, the Igbos championed it and everybody. Look at where we are today. We are begging other people to give us leadership, which naturally belongs to us. If you go to Psalm 25, go and read it. You will see where it says, do the will of God. God will give you the land, give you everything you need. You go to Psalm 1, you will see the same thing. Where it says, if you obey God, you have rewards. You go to Deuteronomy, you see where God lists the rewards of obedience. And then the punishment for
disobedience. All right. I think this is just a start. Like I said today, further editions, and we will also open up the lines in further editions for your contributions. I'd like to know if you practice this, if these things are practiced in your area. Feel free to tell us, and maybe help will come from this NGO. Of course, it's a calm and subtle help advocacy. They are not coming to jail anybody or to put anybody in prison because of what they have done. Rather, they will teach you why you should do what you should do. All right, before I let you go, if someone wanted to contact you, your NGO, how can they get to you? Because so many people are listening right now and they may want to get to you. How can they get to you? Do you have an office in Enugu? Is there a phone number they can call?
Yes. First of all, before I give you an answer to this, I don't know if it has a timer elapsed.
It's almost coming. You have like 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Otherwise, I would have said let us take 1 or 2 calls so that we get.
No, we can't take calls now.
Okay. No.
Okay. So where can people contact you?
And of course, you can contact me. You know my phone number.
You have to say it so that people will listen.
We have an office at Okunano Street.
50 Okunano Street. Okay. So 50, the people united against social segregation and human rights abuses in Igbo land is in 50 Okunano Street. Okunano Street. Okunano is natural layout. Then are there numbers to call? Do you have an official number?
Yes, of course, I have a number.
Okay, you can go ahead.
My number is 0803 767 1230.
Okay, so we can say it again.
0803 767 1230. 0.
1230.
My name once again is Kachi Ede.
Ede.
If you like, you can say Engineer Kachi Ede.
All right.
My full name is Onye Kachi Nachi.
Okay. All right. So, in case you just have anything or any question, or you see something that is happening around you, now you know who to call. Call Kachi now at the number with the numbers that he gave you, or the numbers that he gave you, or you can all visit them at 50 Okunano Street, actually out in Enugu. All right. I would like to thank you, Mr. Kachi, for coming to Launchbox today. And of course, we just treated the outcast system and the slavery today. I'm sure there are other harmful practices that, maybe in the subsequent editions we'll talk about that. All right, it's 1:26, so we'll just go ahead to get pay some bills when we return. Lunchbox continues right here on the Coast City FM. Good afternoon to you. All right.
So we're done.